Well, the federal government will introduce new legislation allowing non-citizens who present a risk to the community to be preemptively detained. The Home Affairs Minister Clare O'Neil says the government is moving quickly to implement a tough preventative detention regime after the High Court released its reasons to rule indefinite detention as unlawful. The court found some released detainees, such as sex offenders, could still pose a threat to the community and would be subject to preventative detention. The government will now move to finalise the changes before the end of the year. This was the Home Affairs Minister Clare O'Neil speaking a short time ago. It was quick, but here it is in full.
Yesterday, the federal government received the High Court ruling, and the job of the Parliament now is to work with our government to create the toughest possible preventative detention regime. To do that, we need Peter Dutton to stop being destructive, stop being a wrecker, stop saying no, and come into Parliament and help us work to make the Australian community safe.
She hasn't really outlined anything there, but that was the statement this morning. Let's bring in the Deputy Opposition Leader Sussan Ley. Sussan, let's start off with your response to that. The details, I suppose, will come later.
Well, I'm just tired of Clare O'Neil every single day pointing the finger at the opposition, who have led the response to this debacle under her watch from the beginning. This is an incompetent, hopeless, hapless Home Affairs Minister. There's been a boat arrival. There's been over 100 detainees, some of them hardened criminals, released on her watch. And there's been botched legislation, which we've had to fix up at least once, and no doubt we will again. But I also want to say, Pete, where is the Prime Minister on this? I mean, the Prime Minister is missing in action. He has not fronted the press gallery here in Parliament House, his workplace, our workplace, since the 22nd of October. That's over a month. Now, in that time, there's been an interest rate rise. There's been a Chinese attack on our Navy divers. There's been this infrastructure botched announcement by his infrastructure minister, which has taken projects away around the country. And now there's been this release of detainees into the community. I've got a message for Anthony Albanese. Come out of your office, Anthony, front the media, answer some questions, do what you said you would do. Step up, take responsibility.
Okay. So as for this new legislation that will be introduced, which would allow non-citizens who present a risk to the community to be preemptively detained, would you be inclined to support that at this stage?
We've always said we need a preventative detention regime, and that was the problem all along. And that was the issue that the Home Affairs Minister couldn't seem to get her head around, or maybe there were others in the government pushing her and not understanding community safety comes first, because some of this work could have already been done prior to the High Court judgment a couple of weeks ago. But I look forward to the legislation being released into the Parliament. We've had terrific work being done by my colleagues Dan Tehan and James Patterson, led of course by our opposition leader who understands how to keep our borders safe. And we will work with the government. The last time the legislation didn't go far enough, we will look at it carefully. We want detailed briefings. We want to be able to be confident in legislation that we pass will actually keep the community safe. And I'm not sure the government takes this seriously enough. Pete.
Can this get done by the end of the week?
We've said we need it to be done. If the Parliament has to sit longer, the Parliament has to sit longer. I've been here for over 20 years and I've seen this on many occasions. The fact that the government hasn't got this right is unfortunate, but we need to be here until they do get it right. OK. Just
on the economy, Sussan, Michelle Bullock has claimed overnight that rate rises have led to a lot of noise. She's certainly right about that. But she's also said that homeowners appear to be doing OK. Is she living in the same world as Australians who are in fact struggling with their mortgages at the moment?
Well, I'm not going to criticise the RBA governor. I've always said that the RBA does their job, our government does not do its. However, I would caution everyone who makes public statements about broad data and statistics that behind those statistics, there are real people, there are real families, there is real pain, particularly in the lead up to Christmas, which is an incredibly anxious time for a lot of families. So, I would include everyone, I would include the government too. Be careful what you say when you try to use these broad statistics to tell people who know everything is not all right that it's not that bad, because, Pete, it is that bad in a lot of quarters of Australia.
So is that a way of saying that Michelle Bullock maybe should have chosen some different words there?
I won't add to my comments. I've seen, by the way, the Prime Minister and his ministers twist cost of living to be a political issue. You can't manage cost of living through a series of talking points. We're now reading stories about the politics of it for the Labor Party. It's not a political issue, it's an economic one. It needs to be managed with a proper plan to deal with the issues that we're facing.
Sussan Ley, good to have you with us as always. We'll chat to you soon.